This is the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast with your host, Jason Peck. That is right, everybody. We are back with the week 4 edition of the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. I can't believe it. We're already like a quarter of the way into the year.
There's more games now. It's less than a quarter.
There's more games now. You're right. It's slightly less than a quarter. Actually, it's always been less than a quarter, because we had 17 weeks previously. But it feels like it. But yeah, no, we're here. I feel like it's going faster than I want it to. Either way, whether or not we're a quarter of the way into the year or not, I feel like it's going faster than I want.
I mean, football season always feels like it goes faster than not football season. So
I know. I don't know if that has to do with everything else that's also going on in the fall/winter time, but like I just feel like everything flies.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who don't know, everybody who's watching this though probably knows Rayo here, but I have Rayo on with me this week.
It's a pleasure to be here. If we have an extended audience that doesn't know who I am, I'm going to be incredibly proud of you, Jason, that you've expanded out audience.
Yeah, I'm trying to, everything I do is just to try to expand the audience of this podcast because, this is not a very specific podcast. I think this will apply to the general public. And
I think it's really valuable for as many people as possible to listen to this podcast on a weekly basis.
I think so. So anyway, Rayo is with me. I'm so excited to have him on, and we have a great show for you guys. And we're going to get it started with the injuries in the NFL from week 4. Always starting on a sad note. This week's injuries.
How is he running with a broken leg? Dog, I gotta do this shit. I put it in my fucking back, though. My leg broke. I don't know how the fuck I'm running right now, though.
That's one of my favorite YouTube videos of all time.
It's a good one. It's classic.
It's a good one. But we must get away from comedy and get serious and sad. We're going to start with the biggest news. Unfortunately, for the Denver Broncos and all people who believed in him for this year, Javonte Williams tore his ACL this week, and he is now out for the season. This means that people like Mike Boone might be, relevant, and more so probably Melvin Gordon will probably be taking over the vast majority of that role for the rest of the season. Additional sad news, we have Cordero Patterson, who is on my fantasy football team. It's put on IR. It's 4 weeks.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Jason.
I don't even have his backup.
Truly tragic.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then my other running back, Jonathan Taylor. Even though he's been a disappointment this year, so far, he's got some sort of small ankle sprain or something. They never really officially diagnosed, I don't think, that I saw. He had some sort of ankle issue, and he is not playing. It came out today, Wednesday, that he is not playing this weekend. Or actually, it's tomorrow night, which is probably why he's not playing, because it's only 4 days after his previous game. So I'm going to have to make do without 2 of my starting running backs, and actually all 3, because DeAndre Swift is probably still going to be out this week. Fortunately, I have his full backup replacement, who probably does better than DeAndre Swift when he's by himself in the lineup. So I'm okay with that one, but the rest of them, we're going to have to patch it up and go against a rough matchup this week. So we'll see.
I don't think Adam would appreciate us if we didn't mention one of the most important injuries of the week this week, which is Tua hurting his head for the second week in a row. So
Tua got knocked out very early into the week. Yeah, I guess I didn't have him because I didn't consider him really fantasy relevant, but he is. He is fantasy relevant.
He's fantasy relevant. It's the second quarterback that Adams lost this year?
It is. Yeah. Maybe we should watch out. I'm not gonna hold any quarterback that he has on his team on any of my other fantasy football leagues because like they are
Just in
guaranteed
case.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the fantasy reaper or something. Like
Mhm.
but despite that, I suppose we have to give him props because he was the top scorer in the week this week, even though his quarterback only put up 2 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Alexander Hamilton.
I sent him the money, unfortunately.
Did you feel pain?
I felt pain. Anytime I have to pay one of you guys $10 on the week, it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I pulled $50 out of all you at the beginning of the year, so don't feel that bad. But at the same time, you know, it's nice to be able to get paid when you win something,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel that. So I know I've whined about this to you guys multiple times, but you know,
Jason, you just have to open a checking account with the
oh,
with all the inputs, and then at least you can like transfer money from the fantasy
that's
football account to your account on the weeks that you win, which is
yeah,
hopefully none of them, but I mean in the event.
yeah. Well, in the future, we might not be doing this anymore if we do the stock options idea.
Oh yeah.
I kind of liked that idea. I thought that was really fun.
I think it would be a fun idea. Maybe we could
People might potentially throwing away $50.
we could earmark 140 for regular season $10 winners, and then leave the rest, put the rest of the pot in a random stock option. Well, not a random, voted upon stock option at the beginning of the year, and see what happens. I mean,
AMC or GameStop.
There'll be a new meme stock by next year. It'll be good. Well, whoever wins will be rich. That's all I'm saying. To the moon.
That's the goal. That's the goal. To the moon. Yeah, except they got to pay taxes on it because it's not in for over a year. So
yeah, but like still, I mean, you're getting more money.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. So nope, that'll be fun if we do end up doing that. But that is definitely an interesting idea.
I think that's one thing that we'll probably need a unanimous agreement vote on.
Yeah,
I don't want to force that on anyone.
Yeah, that's something that we can do with just a majority. It's got to be unanimous.
Yeah.
Well, I've been putting this off as long as I can, but we're moving on to last week's head-to-head results. Unfortunately, this isn't such a joyous occasion for me.
Oh, it's a very joyous occasion, Jason. I don't. It's a very joyous occasion.
Unfortunately, the more the merrier got their first loss this week to the Young Hoes.
Young
Hoes put up 123.22 fantasy points to the more the merrier's 99.46. And this is all happening despite the fact that you had Alvin Kamara in your flex spot. Not only should you have not had him in your flex spot because he starts at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
In the morning, so he is the first player to play from your lineup this week. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but also, you know, he was not playing this week.
Mm-hmm. He was not playing this week, which I learned at about 8:30 on Sunday morning, which was half an hour after they started playing the game. I think that the NFL should abandon all efforts to play football in Europe. That's my take from this. They're ruining fantasy owners' lives everywhere by doing this. So I just want to let the NFL know, because clearly they're watching this podcast. That
I don't doubt it. I think
they need to make sure that fantasy owners' interests are first in their mind at all times. And that means no more Sunday morning games.
Hey, you know, fantasy football is the reason that football has become the thing it is today.
I mean, that's true. There's certainly a lot more interest than there was before it, and certainly a lot more interest in games that aren't for your team than there was before. So,
Agreed. Well, I can take solace in the fact that you did refuse to gain $10.
I looked I looked on Monday night after the Monday night game, and I was like, man, I would have easily taken the $10 if I started Mike Evans. Easily.
Yeah, because no doubt you would have started Mike Evans in your
Yeah,
flex instead of
that's what would have gone on my flex spot, and it's
and
really
he
sad.
scored 26.3 fantasy points on your bench, and that was more than enough to put you as the top scorer of the week.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Well, my team's demonstrated potential. You know, we'll come back next week. We'll execute, and we'll beat the rest of you guys for the rest of the year. It'll be good.
Yeah. Well, you got lucky that DK Metcalf came back from the locker room also halfway through that game.
What can I say? My players are motivated. You know, they come out. They're tough guys.
Do you know why he went into the locker room
What?
in the middle of the game? Do you know why he went into the locker room in the middle of the game?
Nope. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Did he have to take a shit? Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, if he went out and he came back in and he played better in the second half after he took a shit, you know what are we gonna say? What are we gonna say to him? Don't take a shit if you're gonna play. Yeah.
Say that. Yeah, but yeah, for the most part, like your team, like everybody scored.
Yeah, this was a consistent week for me, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's not something you see very often. Seeing everybody over 12 fantasy points, 12 or more,
except for Alvin Kamara.
Except for Kamara, but he didn't play, so there's that. But yeah, two of my players, went out in the middle of their matchups, and everybody else. The only one that did well was the makeup running back, Jamal Williams, who I paid more than enough money for, and I'm glad I did because he put up 23 fantasy points without DeAndre Swift in the matchup.
How much money did you put up for him?
That is a good question. I think it was like 30 or 31.
You should keep track and see how much value per dollar he gives you by the end of the season.
$26.
So right now he's less than a point per dollar, but I'm sure that'll
just less than a point per dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll change.
I don't know how we would keep track of that, but that would be an interesting stat to look at too.
Yeah, if you want to keep track of that, that's fine.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't really want to either, but it would be interesting to look back on. You're lucky I put together a bare bones pod outline, and
this is good.
Get this going each week. But no, yeah, he worked out for me this week, and
for sure.
Everybody else was, except my kicker, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, was under 10 fantasy points. So just not a good showing overall for the more the merrier. I know they got better weeks in them, so so I'm not too discouraged. I just hope that this team can maybe get back healthy and show its full potential going forward.
Hey, all that matters is you get to the playoffs,
That is all that matters, and I got a good start, so hopefully I can keep that up and make it to the playoffs. I kind of dissed your team last week in the power rankings, which you obviously didn't see because you didn't watch the pod. But no, I was just kind of like, I don't know how Rayo's team is 2-1 right now, because
I mean, your assessment was correct that it was on the back of Josh Allen and the young ho himself, but I mean, if the team performs, the team performs. Wins are wins, W's are W's.
That's true.
Even if they're the lowest scoring W's, both.
Hey, you know what? Like you said, W's are W's.
Exactly.
All the scoreboard knows is that you got wins, and that's all that really matters. So, any last words on this this terrible matchup of ours from last week?
No, but when we get to power rankings, I have a question. So we'll get there.
Sure, we'll get there. All right, on to matchup number 2. We've got Waddle versus Chad's team, which he still hasn't changed his team name yet. But
can we come up with a team name for Chad's team right now?
Ooh, Let's take a look at who's on his team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always like the classic Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, that would be good. That would be good.
Good one. Or we could just name his team the Pits because Kyle Pitts has been so terrible this year.
Yeah, we could do that too. I'm partial to making a doobie pun on having
Romeo
having
Dobbs.
jobs. Yeah.
We could do some doobie puns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? His team has a lot of like. I look at my team and I feel like I don't have that many
Yeah.
players who I could make puns on. He's got so
He's
many.
got CEH. He's got Dobbs. He's got Cooper Kupp. He's got Pitts.
He's got Brees Lightning. Like,
jeez, dude, what is he? Why, Chad?
Chad, get your shit.
Make
together.
yourself a team name.
Make yourself. It's not that hard. We just came up with 4 of them.
Yeah.
In like 2 seconds, you can do it.
If you don't choose one by next week, we're gonna make executive decisions.
Yeah, and I with commissioner powers can change your team name.
That's kind of what I assumed when I said that. So
exactly. Yeah. The royal we, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. But anyway, somehow Chad's team did get the W this week against the highest scoring loser, Waddle Baby. Chad's team put up 113.16 fantasy points. The Pits versus 107.24 from Waddle Baby. This was a tight matchup, only 6 points. And I'm still wondering why Chad is starting Matt Stafford every week. Like, the highest points he's scored is 18.88 fantasy points. Yet Chad is still in, he's still 3-1. Second in the league right now.
Pits, the Pits.
It's. I mean, he's also got he's got Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and Amon-Ra St. Brown on the bench this week, and he still won. That just depresses me.
I mean, as we said, W's a W. Congratulations, Chad. We just don't like that you got it. That's all.
True. I mean, it was on the back of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. His 2 running backs just destroyed, and
sure.
Also Cooper Kupp every day. But Christian McCaffrey finally put up a good week. He had 21 fantasy points. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been overproducing every single week. But this week he actually finally got some carries. Before he was doing it on 10 touches. He was getting somewhere in the 15 to 20 fantasy points every week, around there. So this week he actually did it, and he got 20 opportunities. So that's been good for CEH. Yeah, like I said, the Pits has been the Pits. Brees Hall actually did pretty well this week, 14.8 fantasy points, but. Yeah, Waddle Baby just couldn't keep up. I mean, his best week here was from the Eagles defense. So they were the highest scoring player on his team. He did have Rashad Penny and J.K. Dobbins on the bench, putting up 20 fantasy points. They would have been the highest scorers. I'd say actually was he the least efficient manager this week? No, he wasn't. But he is a close second, I'm sure. Close second.
Let's see, where is he? Yeah, he's a real close second.
Yeah.
He is 0.7% from being the least efficient manager.
You got lucky.
0.7, Bedia.
0.7. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good matchup all around. Just some duds from Deontay Johnson and Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle got hurt partway. Looks like he might be back though.
Yeah, just questionable, not out. That's good.
Actually, I don't know. No, it doesn't say he went out, but he did have he has a groin issue right now, so that must happen during the game. You'd think anyway. But all right, enough of that matchup. We're gonna move on to matchup number 3. We've got Sir Lancelot versus Team Brandon, because he also hasn't picked a team name.
We're going to do the same thing with Brandon that we did with Chad?
Yeah, I mean, we could do something with Tyler Bass, like Billy Mouth Bass.
Oh, that would be good.
Something like that. Or we could do Sutton on a fence post.
That's good. That's good.
No, that's not a good one. That was a bad one.
I mean, it's not great, but he doesn't have a team name, which means
He doesn't have a team name. It's better than
Yeah.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Small herbs instead of big herbs. That's Justin Herbert is big herbs. So Khalil Herbert must be small herbs.
Clearly. Yeah, no, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Or we could make a tight end pun because he's got 2 tight ends he's playing every week.
Oh, is he playing a tight end in his flex? He is playing a tight end in his flex.
Yeah, he's been doing it all year.
I like that this week at least he has a combined 6 point
6 points.
6 points between his 2 tight ends.
Yep.
Really, really good management.
Solid.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that having this second tight end in his flex is a benefit.
No, okay. I was just checking to make sure he didn't have a third tight end on his bench. No, he doesn't.
But yeah, so not the greatest week from Team Brandon. We've got Trevor Lawrence as the QB this week, and he only put up 5.66 fantasy points against a tough Philadelphia defense. He was kind of carried by Derrick Henry and Justin Jefferson. His team, those were the 2 highest scorers. Justin Jefferson put up 26. Derrick Henry put up just over 22. Everybody else was most people were bad. His 2 tight ends, Mark Andrews and Darren Waller, were rough. And everybody else was kind of just average. Khalil Herbert put up 10. Portland Sutton at 13. Tyler Bass at 11. And the Steelers D 5. So, but he just couldn't quite match up with the top scorer of the week, despite having, yes, congratulations. Congratulations, Adam, Sir Lancelot. Despite having probably the lowest scoring quarterback this week at 2.4 fantasy points, he still managed to be the highest scorer on the back of Austin Eckler and TJ Hawkinson manning up.
I mean, TJ Hawkinson from the tight end position putting up, I think, the highest fantasy points of the week. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the back because Amon-Ra St. Brown was out. TJ Hawkinson was just soaking all the targets. He had 12 targets, 8 catches for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a monster this week.
Incredible game.
Yeah. And then CeeDee Lamb, who's actually been useful despite not having Dak Prescott around. I think, we were talking about this earlier, but I think Cooper Rush has been more of a boon for CeeDee Lamb than Dak looked at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. It makes me nervous because I think Dak is still the better quarterback, but I guess I should say I'm just glad that there's a reason to let Dak recover for longer. Let his thumb come back to full health. Don't break his thumb again, please.
They don't. What if they accidentally re-break his thumb so that Cooper Rush has to keep starting?
I don't think Jerry's gonna do that, but I wouldn't 100% put it past him.
They could pull that. I hate to do this, but they could pull that medical guy from the Chargers that punctured Tyrod Taylor's lungs.
Let's not, please.
Actually, he was working on Justin Herbert has had a rib injury the last few weeks. He's been the same doctor who's been working on Justin Herbert's ribs.
Huh.
While they have an ongoing potential suit, I think Tyrod was suing him for $5 million or something for lost wages.
I feel like that's kind of reasonable. Doctor is not supposed to break your ribs most of the time.
Puncture lungs and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah. So Sir Lancelot has a solid team. I mean, when your keepers are Austin Eckler and Stephon Diggs, you can't really, and they're not in the first and second round either. They were 3rd and 4th round, and that's massive value for those guys.
Good job.
That allows you to go get CeeDee Lamb and Aaron Jones at the top of the draft, and actually do some good. But yeah, so that was matchup number 3. Now we're moving on to matchup number 4. We've got Team Go Clifford versus Team Buck Nasty, aka Aaron, aka he doesn't have a team name either.
This is bad.
We can name it
bad stuff.
Tucker and Run. We can name it Big Herbs. We can name it.
I mean, I really think if if neither Brandon nor Buck have a team name, it should definitely be Big Herbs and Small Herbs.
Small Herbs. Yeah, for sure.
I think clear choices here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we'll stick with that. And yeah, as we said, the lowest scoring winner of the week, the number 5 scorer on the week was Team Big Herbs. So we've got 107.9 fantasy points to Team Go Clifford's meager 80.46 fantasy points this week. Not the highest scoring of weeks, but Aaron's team did have Justin Herbert putting up 21 fantasy points. Tyreek Hill not scoring a touchdown, but getting 10 catches for 160 yards. And also Travis Kelce putting up 19 fantasy points this week. So on the back of all those guys, like they had some pretty good weeks. Travis Etienne was kind of a bummer with 3 fantasy points. And James Robinson also a bummer on the same team with 2.9 fantasy points. That's kind of the limitations when you only have 3 running backs on your team.
Does he? How many quarterbacks? He still has 4 quarterbacks?
He is not going to make a roster move the entire year. That's just how he does it. He only makes a roster move if he's not going to have a full lineup. So he'll have to in week 11 when Jacksonville's on a bye. That's the only time he'll
Yeah. Only time he'll have to make a roster move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. That's just, how it is. Because he's got 2 tight ends, he's got 4 quarterbacks, and he's got 2 defenses. So he doesn't even have to make roster moves for those guys.
Has Adam picked up a quarterback?
Is that he's got 2 good? Did he pick up a new quarterback?
I don't see one yet.
Oh, maybe he'll make the change later.
No, I'm suggesting maybe there's a trade.
Trade in the works.
In the works.
What was it? Did you trade with Adam today?
No. Benaya and I made a tight end trade.
Benaya and you.
Yeah, Benaya sent me a message earlier this week, or I think it was actually last week, saying, "Hey, let me read it." So I have this correct. Both of my tight ends have a week 7 bye, and both of yours have a week 9 bye. So we should find a trade. So now we have tight ends sorted for our buys. We're all good.
I was wondering what the 1-for-1 trade was. I was like,
I mean, they're tight ends, and they're not the top flight tight ends.
I was gonna say they're both performing about the same this year. So
it was literally just a buy move.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine. That's fine. On the other side of this matchup, we had Team Go Clifford, whose only bright spot was Nick Chubb with 19 fantasy points. Nick Chubb has been a beast this year. He's been the one.
Yeah.
He's been the one running back that has not disappointed from the first 2 or 3 rounds. Like he's been the only one. So he's been a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else kind of disappointed, except Adam Thielen, who had 11 fantasy points. And that was the second highlight of his team. Lamar putting up 13 is more of a disappointment than Adam Thielen putting up 11. So rough week.
I will say for James credit, even with only 80 points this week, he's still the highest scorer in the league. So
yes, just barely ahead of me. Oh no, I might be third actually.
459.
Chad higher than me?
Nope, you're second.
Okay.
Barely. You and Chad are 4 points apart.
Oh yeah, he's 4 points at him. Or I'm 4 points at him.
And then there's Benaya's.
Sorry.
Yeah, Benaya's third.
Or third, yeah.
Benaya's third by 0.4 of a point.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good stuff.
There it is. Yeah.
Good parody.
All right. Let's move on to the last matchup of last week. We have Owen Tree. Actually, both of these teams have team names, so congratulations. Owen Tree cooking some lamb. Nice. And Owen Tree took care of business for their first win of the week and took them down 118.98 fantasy points to cooking some lamb's 92.5. Now, this all happened despite the fact that he did have Javonte Williams on his team. And so Javonte only got him 3.2 fantasy points for team Owen Tree. And he had the monsters of Devontae Adams and T. Higgins leading the way, with T. Higgins putting up almost 22 fantasy points and Devontae putting up 15. And then Dameon Pierce in the running back 2 spot with 22.9 fantasy points. And then Kyler Murray putting up 22.88. It must have not been a double XP weekend for Kyler Murray in COD, and he actually had a decent week.
Yeah, if Kyler Murray can just figure out how to deal with video games and have a good work-life balance, he'll really be all set. So,
I think so. But but yeah, on the other side of this matchup, cooking some lamb, he's once again started Carson Wentz, despite the fact that he hasn't had a good week in a couple of weeks. And I don't know if I can trust him going forward, or if I would trust him going forward. There might be a few teams that are in the market for a quarterback in this league.
Well, we know who got him. So
Chad is looking for a quarterback. Neil is looking for a quarterback. Adam's looking for a quarterback. So that's 3 trades for your 3 quarterbacks that you're not playing on a weekly basis. We did have a lone bright spot on this team. Deebo Samuel put up 20.7 fantasy points. And actually, Giants defense put up 18 fantasy points. So both of those bright spots.
Hey, bright spot from the bench, Josh Jacobs with 32 fantasy points.
Josh Jacobs had a monster week this week, and he's been getting a lot of work. I was actually considering potentially going to try to trade for him before this last week, and then I didn't do it, much to my chagrin. But yeah, I think he's been getting a lot of work. Like he's getting like 80 to 90% of the touches.
28 carries.
Yeah,
that's a lot of carries.
A lot of people were concerned going into this year that was going to be like a pretty big like running back, like they're going to be sharing a lot of touches committee. But he seems to be the for sure lead back, with no qualms. So so that wraps up the matchups for this week. Let's move on to the weekly awards, as we've now moved towards Sleeper, wonderful fantasy football platform. You feel free to sponsor me, Sleeper, if you want to. I have a very large audience, and I bet I could bring a lot of new people to the platform. People who don't play on Sleeper already, not like my league, who all plays on Sleeper.
I mean, I think we're all Sleeper evangelists at this point. Like, whenever I'm talking to people about fantasy football and they ask what I use, I'm like, oh, we use Sleeper and it's great. So, hey, Sleeper, sponsor us.
You like it better than ESPN?
Oh yeah, I think the interface during the regular season, I think the interface between Sleeper and ESPN are pretty even. But I think the draft, it just blows everyone out of the water. I mean, it's so good.
The draft is really nice, and the thing I always bring up with Sleeper is the trade chart.
Yeah.
When you're trading and you can see everybody's roster.
Yeah.
Like that makes it nice, and it's all split up between like the running backs, wide receivers, so you can see who has a bunch of running backs, who has a bunch of wide receivers right off the bat. I love that. I love looking at all and being like, oh, I could just sit in the trade thing and just like look at everybody's teams and be like trying to, brainstorm the perfect trade, but I haven't made it happen yet. I've tried, but it hasn't worked.
So I noticed something when Benai and I made this trade. It said it was a 2-way trade. Does that mean that Sleeper will let us orchestrate like 3-way trades?
I've never tried that.
We need to figure one out. I think we've got this season we've got our first trade with waiver cash with Fab. We should try and get our first 3-way trade in this season.
Holy cow, you can do a 3-way trade.
Sweet.
Yeah, so when you do select trade partners, you can pick more than one team.
Oh, that's sick.
So yeah, and then when you actually go in, so if I were to pick you, and pick Neil's right next to you, so I'll click on that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So then I pick like, so say I want to trade Jalen Hurts, and then it pops up and it asks me who I want to send it to, Rayo or Neil. And then if I pick somebody on the other team, I could be like, oh, who do I want to send that person to? Me. So yeah, you could orchestrate a 3-way trade. That's my goal this year, is to get one 3-way trade. That's like a legit, not just like a last bench player, last bench player, last.
Yeah, like a valuable one. I mean, really, if we want a non-valuable trade, we could do a 10-way trade. It does let you select everyone. So
we'll have to see what we can do, but that would be a lot of fun. So
running backs. How many running backs do you have?
Do I have? I have a lot because I had to pick up a lot because 3 of them are hurt.
Yeah, so, fair.
Okay. Yeah, so I have 1, 2,
3. I guess 5. I have a really long wide receiver room, so I don't really have space to talk. So.
Yeah, well, 2 of them are on IR. Yeah, so I've got a lot. And the
that's
rest.
Nice. That might make me actually trade more this year, because that's really nice to look at.
Yeah, isn't it? I like it a lot. It's really nice. Yeah, like I said, it's nice to see who has the depth where, and then you can be like, okay, that's how I'm going to formulate the trade. This guy needs running back, so like, what if I offer him a running back for one of his wide receivers or tight ends or quarterback?
So, hey, Jason, you should cut this part of the part of the podcast out and send it to Sleeper and be like, hey, if you pay us, you can put this in an ad for yourselves.
I should do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the weekly awards this week. We've got, for the best team, aka the highest scorer, as we already said, we've got Adam Stovall this week. So congratulations to Adam Stovall. The worst team this week. All right, enough of that. The worst team this week, we've got James, who put up 80.46 fantasy points. Not so great, James. But fortunately, you were not the least efficient manager. We'll get to who that was in a second. But the most efficient manager was Chad. Congratulations. You put up 113 out of a possible 119 fantasy points this week. So congratulations on that. It's a success. Good work. You almost played your optimal lineup. The least efficient manager was Neil. Now, Neil only scored 92.5 fantasy points, and his max was 127.9 fantasy points. So that could have been much better. He could have gotten the dub this week. I think. Wait, who did Neil play? Am I wrong about that?
You might be right about that, because I was the second highest scoring team, and he almost beat. He would have, if he had gotten his 100% efficiency, he would have been right below me. So.
Who did he play? Did he play Adam? Then it would be wrong.
I don't think he played Adam, but maybe he did.
No, he didn't. Brandon played Adam. Oh yeah, he played Quartz. And Quartz's optimal lineup. Oh no, his optimal lineup would have scored 138.98 fantasy points. So had both teams put up their optimal lineup, you still would have lost. So
such is life.
Lose, I guess. So I thought this was really interesting, and I mentioned it to Rayo right before we started. But the highest points in the loss this week was Benaya with 107.24 fantasy points, and the lowest points in a win was Buck this week with 107.9 fantasy points. So what that means is the top 5 scorers got the dubs this week, which is all how it's supposed to be. It was a point. What'd you say? 6.66. Yeah, point differential between the lowest winner and the highest loser this week. But in the words of Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. So you both lost, and so did I this week. So
we kind of all lost this week.
We all lost except Adam.
Yeah.
So yep. In the end, there's only one winner. Speaking of which, the biggest blowout this week was Adam. He beat Brandon by 38 fantasy points this week. The narrowest victory, as I mentioned earlier, by only 6 fantasy points was Chad over Benaya. the overachiever started who scored way more than his starter projections this week was you.
I know. I'm really proud of myself.
You
I'm
were
really proud of my team. You know, my guys. They just go out there and play. They execute. So that's good stuff. Yeah.
You were only projected for 96 fantasy points, and you scored 123.
Hey, I believe in my guys. I looked at my team and I said, this is what needs to happen, and they made it happen for me. I really appreciate that. So.
Did you send them like the Friday Night Lights thing?
I send them a letter every week. Even
Yeah.
my bench guys. I just don't tell them they're on my bench.
Yeah. Never. Yeah, you don't tell them that. And then the underachiever of the week scored 26 points less than his starting projection, and that, of course, was James. So, James, bad job this week. To be fair,
James just kind of got screwed this week. I think I'm just looking through this. Even if he had
89.
maximized his team, he would have lost to everyone. So that's just sorry, James. That sucks.
The team just had a rough week this week.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got my stat sheet up here, and I thought it was interesting that once again that James had the worst team this week after having the best team of the week the last 2 weeks. That was an interesting swap. Let's see. Yeah, you went from. Oh no, this was the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing. Oh yeah, and in the same boat, you went from overachiever. James went from overachiever to underachiever. So two opposite ends of the spectrum there.
Just a bad week for James overall. Yeah, sorry, James.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing too exciting there on the weekly awards. The awards tally. Let's take a look. Nothing too interesting. Most people have one or two in each different category. Not in each category, but one or two in a couple of different categories, that sort of thing. Nobody has 3 of anything yet, so that's good. It's kind of been an even year thus far. So yeah, we'll keep it going. I'll keep the tally. If anything starts to stick out to me, I'll be sure to mention it on the podcast. Now, you had some questions as far as potential power rankings. Is that right?
I had a question in terms of actual rankings. How we've set this up. I don't care either way. I mean, I'm fine with it. We're ranked based on record, and directly after that, we're ranked based on points.
Yeah, points 4.
So head-to-heads don't matter. That's tragic, Jason, because I'd be at the top of our division if head-to-heads mattered.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you are, and I just beat you.
Right. That was. You know what? I did not look into that, and maybe there. To be honest, there might be something to that. We never voted on changing that this year, and obviously, as of right now, in this part of the year, it doesn't matter. But you're right as far as the ESPN default head-to-head is the first tiebreaker, as opposed to points 4 being the first tiebreaker. But I think in Sleeper, the automatic tiebreaker is points 4. So that might have to be something that we talk about, because we didn't actually vote on changing that. And people might just be assuming that that's the tiebreaker to start with.
I mean, I was assuming that until I looked at the standings.
And you would be at the top of the standings, which
I'd be at the top of, I think, just our division.
Our division, yeah.
I think that would, yeah.
Right. No, that can definitely change standings and whatnot. So since we didn't actually vote on changing that, I'll bring that up to you guys.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the chat. That's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that's good. I didn't notice that until just now. It didn't really sink in. So yeah, good call. But I have the power rankings, which I changed slightly from last week. I've got, of course, me at the top because, my team is great. Did you have something to say about that, Rayo? Or
Boo. I mean, other than the fact that if you're the highest power ranked team, you should have won this week. That's really all that I have to say about that. You clearly didn't, so clearly that ranking is kind of wrong. But if you want to put yourself there, you can lie to yourself and try and sleep at night. But
to be fair, if that were the case, then no team with a loss should be at the top of the power rankings. All of us have.
I think the point I'm making is, power rankings are supposed to show how a team progresses through the year, right? And taking a loss to take you from undefeated to not undefeated anymore kind of indicates that maybe you're not the best team in the league anymore. That's all I'm saying.
All I know is I'm ranked first in the league right now, so that's where I have it. You know what? You're right. That's probably true, but it's going to be rare to not find me at the top of my own power rankings.
Of course.
Do you just feel disrespected because I still have you down, past?
Of course. Obviously, I feel disrespected by the fact that I'm not even right behind you after beating the pants off of you.
It was a fluky week, all right? All my running backs were hurt.
No such thing as a fluke.
There was a fluke. It was
a W's a W.
At number 2, we've got Chad. Like I was saying, we've got still got a badass wide receiver core. Even with 3 of those wide receivers on the bench, he still has a good wide receiver core somehow.
Oh, for sure.
And he's got his solid running backs. He just needs a quarterback and his tight end to pick it up a little bit, and he might be in contention to win this thing this year.
Let me see. I'm trying to see if I'm reading this correctly. Chad currently has moved Matt Stafford out of the starting role. So.
Has he?
Maybe that's a good choice. Yeah.
Probably is a good choice. Who's he got in there now?
He's got Goff starting, so maybe not the best choice, but it is a different choice than Matt Stafford. So.
He's been playing a lot better than Matt Stafford this
year. That's true.
So, yeah, I mean, the Detroit's one of those teams is the best team for fantasy points this year because
true. Yeah, they've been. I mean, in terms of offense, they've been balling. So.
Well, yeah, they're the number 1 offense and they're the number 32 ranked defense, which means all of their games put up a shit ton of points. So they're like a fantasy carnival right now.
I mean, that's how I felt as a Cowboys fan for many years. I'm really glad that they have a defense now. It's nice.
At number 3, we've got Benaya. Like I was saying, we've got to fix his quarterback position, but otherwise his team is a solid one.
Mm-hmm.
I like his team. I just put James up here at number 4 because he's always sneaky good somehow. And I don't know how his team is always as...
I mean, he's good. As we said earlier, he is the highest scorer in the league at the moment. So, counts for something, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I couldn't disrespect him too much.
Mm-hmm. You could disrespect me, though. I see how that is.
I could have I moved you up. You moved up. I had you down at like 9 last week.
I mean, I don't know how you could have me at 9 with a winning record, but it's your choice. If you're making mistakes, they're your mistakes.
I had you at 9 because I thought your team sucked.
I mean, winning record's winning record, Jason.
Yeah. So yeah, this sentence for us from last week that I have in the doc here. I said I don't know how Rayo's team is 2-1, but probably on the back of Josh Allen and Young Ho. So.
And as I said, as we were prepping for this today, that was probably accurate as of last week. Yeah. I'd like to think that my team's coming together and they put things actually on the back of Mike Williams too. On top of those 2 guys.
Mike Williams had a good week 1, and then week 2 and 3. Or no. He had a
great week 4, but he was on my bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the points have become better distributed over the last.
Oh, you mean Mike Evans? Mike Williams.
Well, Mike Williams.
Mike Evans was on your bench week 4.
Yeah, Mike Williams was also on my bench week 4. And
was he?
No, he wasn't. What am I talking about? I'm talking. Mike Evans was on my bench, but Mike Williams has been making points for me.
It's been solid.
Yeah.
So. Yep. I've got, you know what? You should be happy that I've got you above Adam because he's got a really good team.
That's fair.
He had just been underperforming in the first couple of weeks and had a quarterback. So, but I moved him up as well, just a little bit. We've got Courts at number 7. He's still only 1-3. And now Javante is hurt. So that's unfortunate, but we'll see. Brandon, I've got at 8, Neil at 9, and Aaron with 4 quarterbacks is at 10. So those are the power rankings.
Is Aaron ever going to move out of 10 if he still has 4 quarterbacks?
No, this is
good.
And this is all completely subjective, not really based on how
obviously
how they're.
I mean, even real power rankings are always horrible. So
subjective. So yeah, are you saying my rankings are horrible? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You're at 1 and I'm at 5. Of course they're horrible, Jason.
All I know is that the Packers in real life are power ranked like 4th, and the Vikings, who beat the piss out of them week 1, are ranked like 10th or 14th or something like that. So,
I think the takeaway is power rankings suck in general, but they're really good to have and entertaining. So
that's true. All right, on to the next segment. Weekly waiver wire studs.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
You're darn right. This team was definitely all out of bubblegum this week. They did a lot of ass kicking. We've got in the quarterback slot, we've got Jared Goff with 33.2 fantasy points. Like I was saying, now, you know what's really funny? He's got Matt Stafford, and he's replacing him with Jared Goff. Like that whole Jared Goff, Matt Stafford dynamic. Now Jared Goff is wrecking shit with the Lions, and Stafford's having a rough time over there with the Rams. I just think that's hilarious. Anyway, in the running back spot, we got Latavius Murray with 13 fantasy points. We got Rex Burkhead in the running back 2 spot with 12.4 fantasy points. This might be Adam. Live update. This might be Adam adding a quarterback to his team.
Shit.
Let's take a look. I just saw a notification.
Yeah, Adam made a roster move. Adam.
Nope, he grabbed Corey Davis and grabbed Greg Dortch.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I thought it was going to be exciting, like a quarterback signing, and it wasn't.
It's kind of unfortunate, but hey. Adam, pick up a quarterback live right now, please.
Pick up a quarterback. Do it right now, because you can definitely hear us.
Should we call him and be like, hey, right now, we need you to pick up a quarterback?
If you want to.
Pressure's on. No, I'm not going to do that to him.
All right, back to this waiver wire team. We've got Jamal Agnew in the wide receiver 1 spot with 19 fantasy points. We got Josh Reynolds with 17.6 fantasy points. We got Mo Alley Cox with 23.5 fantasy points from Indianapolis over there. In the flex spot, we got Corey Davis with 15.9 fantasy points. We've got the Cardinals D with 15 fantasy points. And we got Craig Joseph with 17 fantasy points at the kicker. Overall, this team scored 166.60 fantasy points, and the waivers. Congratulations to the waivers. Sorry, go ahead, Rayo.
It's the Devils team.
The Devils team with the old
666. Oh.
Yep. They got that 4-0 this year, man. So.
I guess we beat them early last year.
Yeah, I think either Brandon or Neil went in and just wrecked.
I think one of the weeks I won last year, I almost beat him, but didn't actually get a waiver wire win, unfortunately.
Sorry, Rayo.
Yeah, it is what it is. The waiver wire is hard to beat.
It is. All right. Now on to our last section of this podcast. Neil. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Rayo. I'm so sorry, Rayo. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Next week's matchup predictions.
I can see the future. I have to stop you from destroying my race. In the future.
We already did that.
I knew you'd do that.
For those of you who don't know what that's from, that is the Dragon Ball Z, not regular Dragon Ball Z. It's that YouTube.
Is it like an abridged Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, the
Oh,
unabridged.
incredible.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah,
Incredible.
it's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, that's hilarious. Last week, I guessed 2 of the 5 matchups correctly. Not too great. Not too great. It was all right, but like not too great. Neil was only 1 for 5, so I won. For all the weeks that I've been keeping track, which has just been the one, I'm beating you guys. So Rayo, hopefully you are more of a competition than Neil was.
I mean, yeah. You should put this in the spreadsheet, Jason.
Oh, wins versus the group.
Yeah.
All right, I'll add it to the spreadsheet. That will be done.
Don't
All right.
Yeah.
I won't do it right now. We'll go on to the first matchup for next week. We've got the More the Merrier versus Owen Tree. The More the Merrier coming off their first loss of the week or of the year, and Owen Tree coming off their first win of the year. So I've got a lot of tough matchups this week for the More the Merrier, but I still think my team in general is just better.
Have you ever picked against yourself, Jason?
No, never.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And it's worked out the majority of the time for me, because I'm most of the time have a winning record. So I'm picking myself. So, Ryan, this is up to you.
That's fair. I think I'm gonna pick clearly on a hot streak courts, because that's how fantasy works. Hot streaks exist. So yeah, I'm gonna pick courts here. Partially because I want to pick courts, and partially because I just want you to lose for just this week, though. Just this week.
Just this week, of course. I expected nothing less.
Yeah.
To be fair, his team does have a lot of good matchups this week.
Oh, for sure.
And mine have a lot of bad matchups. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I can definitely understand why you would pick him. Of course, you're wrong, but I respect your opinion.
We'll see.
All right, on to matchup number 2. We got Waddle Baby Waddle Baby Waddle Baby Waddle versus Cooking Some Lamb. I think. Well, he's got to get it. Cooking Some Lamb's got to get himself a new kicker. Matt Prater is out this week. He's got a hip problem.
You think he's gonna put Matt Prater on IR?
That'd be funny. I don't think so.
Keeper for next year.
Yeah, keeper. He's definitely worth it. I think I got Waddle Baby in this. Like, his team is just so good. He's got Joe Mixon, he's got Saquon, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and J.K. Dobbins is back, and he played really well this last week. I'm just gonna have to go with Waddle Baby.
Yeah, as much as I dislike agreeing with you, I don't see a way that I can pick Neil without just being completely not genuine about it.
I mean, all of his starters also, once again, have really good matchups. Like, I don't know if he's going to continue to start Carson Wentz. He currently has him in his quarterback spot. But, like, Dalvin Cook versus Chicago could be a smash. Like, James Conner. I guess Philadelphia's run defense has not been good.
I'm not saying Neil's team has zero chance, but I just think that overall Benaya doesn't have horrible matchups and just has a team that's more likely to put up more points. And as we know, more points wins games. So
I agree. I was just trying to see both sides, but it's tough to see the side where Neil's team's gonna win this week.
Hey, if he gets his first win, good for him. Bad for us, but
That's true. Bad for us, because then that's going on the spreadsheet as a loss. So. All right, on to matchup number 3. We got Team Chad Keen versus. This is the matchup of no named teams. Chad's team versus Buck Nasty. So Big Herb versus the Pits.
I like that we've come up with the names already. Yeah, bigger versus the Pits.
And actually, I'm going for a Pitts victory this week, despite the fact that he is projected to lose by 3 points.
I think just based on the fact that one team here has 4 quarterbacks on their roster. I really hate how much I'm agreeing with you on this, Jason.
Yeah. Well, I'm right most of the time, so.
Yeah, based on the fact that there are 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and that good job, Chad, you've taken Matt Stafford out of the starting role. Yeah, I'm also gonna have to go with Chad here with the Pits.
The Pits. Yeah, I just, I'm gonna pick against Aaron's team every single week this week because he has no doubt.
He's got 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and actually, Antonio Gibson is not going to have that starting job very soon. Brian Robinson's supposed to start soon, whether that's this week or next week. So Antonio Gibson is not going to have a role, and then he's just going to have ETN and James Robinson as his only running backs who are scoring fantasy points, and it's just going to go downhill from there.
I like that he doesn't have a single running back on his bench.
No, he's starting all 3 of his running backs.
Incredible.
And 2 of them are on the same team.
Man, you never think how much overloading on quarterbacks would hurt your fantasy team, but it's just clear.
People there are fantasy analysts who tell you not even to pick one quarterback in the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, so, no, I know.
Because you're taking away from the value of the other, Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but yeah, once you get to that point, and then you can't trade them for anything because they're not worth as much as the other players. So it really.
Hey, we'll see with the quarterback drought and for a few teams, we'll see if he gets some trades going.
That's true. He might have to. I guess he's kind of cornering the market. So if he can actually get some value for those, then I guess it's worth it. But we'll see. All right, matchup number 4. We've got Team Go Clifford team versus Team Sir Lancelot. Now this is, Sir Lancelot currently does not have a quarterback, so it's tough to really gauge. Let's go to the waiver wire here and see what quarterbacks are on the waiver wire. We got Jameis Winston versus Seattle. We got Kirk Cousins versus Chicago. Those are 2 decent quarterback options potentially. Geno Smith has actually been pretty good.
Yeah, I was looking at Geno Smith earlier today just out of curiosity. I'm not gonna pick him up for my team, but he's not a bad pickup.
He's against the Saints this week, so it's tough to want to play.
Tougher, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think in general, Sir Lancelot's team is good. So if he grabs one of those quarterbacks off the waiver wire for a spot start, I think he'll be in just fine shape. I'm picking him for the win. I just don't trust Team Go Clifford's wide receivers.
That's a fair position to take.
Not Najee Harris against Buffalo is rough. The only people I have faith in is Nick Chubb and Lamar Jackson on his team. So, I don't think they can carry him to a victory against Adam's team. So,
I'm gonna break from you on this one. I think that I'm gonna go with James here. Team Go Clifford. It's a good name. James has done a good job with consistency here. I like it. But I'm gonna go with James here, partially to disagree with you, and partially because I think his team has been sneaky good, as you said earlier when we were looking at power rankings, and I think he can pull the win again.
All right, it's your funeral, man. That's where I'm going.
It's not my funeral. I will not be dying, but yes.
Oh wait, no. Did I not tell you Neil is dead?
Oh shit! Who's managing his team now?
The commish.
So when we start seeing some really sketchy trades,
It's the thing is at the end of this year, it's just gonna be me playing against myself on 10 teams.
And trying to
And
get
I'm gonna
yourself a
win.
sleeper sponsorship.
Yes, exactly. All right. We will move on to the last matchup of the week, which is your matchup this week.
Yes, it is.
The Young Hoes versus Small Herbs.
It's an easy pick for me. Clearly, I'm gonna win this week. I don't see any way that that's not gonna happen. So yeah.
I think, unfortunately, I have to agree with you, because he's got some tough matchups here. He does have really good players on his team, but like Trevor Lawrence, I think Trevor Lawrence leading his team here, and then Khalil Herbert. Who knows if David Montgomery's going to come back? If he does, then Khalil Herbert. Well, I guess he has David Montgomery, so. But I think it would almost, it would almost be bad, I think, for his team if David Montgomery does come back, because maybe he'll get a limited workload.
More of a committee than it was before.
Yeah, so then neither of them will do as well. Justin Jefferson is against Chicago. That might be a smash matchup, even though it says it's not a good wide receiver matchup. Cortland Sutton versus Indianapolis. Mark Andrews, Darren Waller. Yeah, Darren Waller in the flex spot just doesn't do it for me. I'm gonna have to go with the Young Hoes as well. So congratulations on picking your team to win this
Young
week.
Hoes.
That doesn't mean I want you to win. I'm obviously rooting against you.
I get it.
Just for this week.
Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. But it does kind of sound like you're cheering for my team to win this week, which is a weird situation to be in.
Yeah, it is. It's a little paradoxical, but that's kind of how fantasy is sometimes. Sometimes in fantasy, you're playing against teams, or you're playing against a team that has a player from your favorite football team. Like, if I'm playing against somebody who has Aaron Rodgers on their team, like, of course I want Aaron Rodgers to do well, but at the same time, I don't want to do that well.
Jason, that's why good fantasy football is all about shootouts. You just cheer for offense and be happy. Just make sure that the defense that you have is doing fine. So.
You bet. So, well, Rayo, we made it. We made it through the week.
It was a good week.
It was a good week. Thanks for joining me this week. I had a blast. I hope you had a blast as well.
I certainly did.
I'm sorry. I think I ran out of energy as we got to the end of it, but we're here. We made it. We made it through. It was a good week, and I'm looking forward to getting the Alexander Hamilton put into my own personal bank account this week.
It's not going to happen again.
It's gonna happen. I'm gonna score the most fantasy points. All of my players are gonna beat out these tough ass matchups, and they're just gonna beat the rest of your teams into the ground.
That's certainly one perspective to have, Jason.
It is the correct perspective to have. So
that's a questionable statement. Do we have another regular season matchup, Jason?
Yeah. I think we play.
I think we do because in division.
We don't play everybody twice, but we play everybody in our division twice. So
awesome, yeah, week 13. So is that just before the playoffs? Okay, no, 2 weeks before.
It's before the playoffs. Yeah.
Cool.
So it could affect playoff matchups
for sure. I'll be clinched by then, so it won't really affect me, but it might affect you.
Clenching your butt cheeks because you're trying to get into the playoffs, or
no, I'll be clinched. My spot will be done. I used an I in the word, not an E, Jason.
Well, I heard clenched, so.
I mean, you can hear what you want. I said what I said, so.
All right. Well, Rayo, you have a good week. I hope the rest of y'all have a good week, despite the fact that you're going to score less points than me, all of you. So, yeah. Y'all have a wonderful time, and we will catch you next week. All right, see you guys.